let's begin, Mr. President. This is an incredibly important day. Thank you for joining us. I want to ask you first, you've said this many times on the campaign trail, although some will try and argue the merits, but under your administration, you've ended the war in Iraq. Osama bin Laden is dead. The markets have stabilized. Unemployment under 8%, yet you are still in such a dogfight. Does that at all shock you?
Well, no, I think that we always knew that this was going to be a close election. Remember, even 4 years ago, 47% of the country didn't vote for me. But my goal has always been to represent everybody. The policies we put in place have been focused on strengthening middle-class families, and going forward, what I want to do is to make sure that we are investing in education, hiring new teachers in math and science, making college more affordable, controlling our own energy, investing in research and technology that will help create jobs here, and provide a tax code that makes sure that companies that are hiring in the United States, as opposed to folks who are shipping jobs overseas, get tax breaks. So there are a lot of things that we are excited about doing that will continue this recovery and strengthen it. But the only way it happens is if people vote. So I just want to encourage everybody to go to the polls. If you don't know where your polling place is, you can always go to vote.barackobama.com, and I'm confident that if we see good turnout across the country, that I potentially have the privilege of serving the American people for another 4 years.
Mr. President, on the plane ride out here yesterday, we spoke with a man who was visibly angry when he talked about how divisive everything has become in his campaign, how angry voters are, how hateful at times they are. Do you regret at all the tone of this campaign? Do you feel that you've contributed to that? Is there anything you regret that you've done over the term of this year?
This has been a hotly contested campaign because the stakes are high and the differences are stark. I believe in an economy that grows from the middle class out and makes sure that everybody has opportunity. Governor Romney believes that we should go back to the sort of top-down economics that I believe created a big mess out here that we've been cleaning up after for the last 4 years. And given how different our approaches are to creating jobs, reducing the deficit, ending wars, making sure we're caring for our veterans, it's not surprising that it's been heated. But all that ultimately boils down to people now making a decision, voting for the plan and the candidate who they trust to fight for them. And once that election's over, my goal is to make sure that we come together and work hard to deliver on, I think, the enormous potential and promise of America in the years to come.
David Axelrod bet the other day his mustache of 40 years that you all would win Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I'm curious, what are you willing to bet? How confident are you on the overall results tonight, on being reelected tonight?
Well, I'm confident that the votes are there for us to win. And we've got a great organization, unbelievable volunteers who are knocking on doors and making phone calls. I think it's as good of a grassroots organization as we've ever seen in politics. But ultimately, this comes down to those viewers who haven't yet voted deciding to go to the polls. So I just hope people don't sit on the sidelines. The stakes are so high, what happens in this election will determine not just the next 4 years, but what happens for the next 40 years. And I really believe that my vision of an America where everybody has a fair shot, everybody's doing their fair share, everybody's playing by the same rules, that's the right vision for America. And I think that after 4 years, the American people know me well enough to know that I will fight for them and their families every step of the way. Even if people don't agree with every single decision I make, I think people know that I'm somebody who says what I mean, and that they can trust me to deliver or work as hard as I can to deliver on my promises.
Mr. President, would you do anything differently? I talked with Robert Gibbs the other day. He said your only hindrance, perhaps, is that you have a day job running the country. Would you do something differently if you look back on this race and how you've handled it so far?
Well, I think overall we've run a race that I can be proud of. Obviously, I should have probably had a few more cups of coffee before the first debate. But other than that, I feel very good about the work we've done. I think we've laid out the choice very clearly for the American people, and now the question is going to be people showing up to the polls. So, make sure that you know where your polling place is. Make sure that whether you're in Maryland or Virginia, that you know the rules. For example, it makes a lot of sense to take a form of identification to your polling place. And in Virginia, the polls close at 7. In Maryland, they close at 8. I want to make sure that people show up to vote, and if you do, then whatever the outcome, that's how our democracy works, and I think that we'll all come together to move America forward.
Mr. President, I'm being told to wrap it up, so one-word answer: is this going to be over tonight?
Well, one way or another, we're going to have a winner, and if it's close, it may spill into the morning, but I'm pretty confident that we'll end up having a president-elect come Wednesday.
Mr. President, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.